Hi there, and welcome to an all-school edition of Teach Time Art. So today we're going to be looking at how the Romans developed art. So the Romans created this amazing style of art called mosaics. Now usually they would use pieces of tile, so shiny rock basically, and they would chop it up into really tiny pieces and then use cement to stick it down onto floors and create these beautiful pictures using different colours. There are still lots of villas, especially down here in the south of England, like Fishbourne Roman Palace or Bignor Roman Villa, that still have these mosaics on the floor intact. They're still there, you can actually look at them. You can't walk on them because they're very precious. You can see all the amazing effort and work that was put into them. It probably took over 3,000 pieces of tile to make just a small mosaic. Sometimes these mosaics would take up entire great rooms. They would stretch from one end to the other. That could be up to anywhere between 100,000 pieces or even 500,000 pieces of tile. So today we're going to make our own mosaics. Now I don't have tile. You could, if you wanted to, use different colours of pieces of paper and cut them up really small to make a mosaic, but I don't have enough colours. So what I've done is I've used a squared piece of paper to help me get beautiful crisp squares. You don't have to do this, you can do it on normal paper if you want, if you're going to stick onto it. It's a bit harder if you're going to colour to get these squares on normal paper. But anyway, I thought I would make a mosaic to represent my thank you message to the NHS and key workers. Now, in the Roman time, they would use their mosaics as a message, or they would represent something that happened. Sometimes it would be a picture of Roman gods, and it would represent the story that they told. Or it would be famous people. Or it could even be a representation of who lived there. So, mine has got, when it's finished, is going to have the rainbow across the top and thank you at the bottom, so that this probably won't survive thousands and thousands of years. But if this were made in tile and stuck onto a floor, then in the future people would wonder at it, but we would always know this was for our NHS and key workers. So here is a little art textile demo. So in my picture I'm using chalk, so once I've done a little bit of colouring, so I don't have to colour in the whole bit, because the great thing about chalk is you just get your finger and you rub, just spread the rest of the chalk, because chalk colours on quite thick. If you spread it around with your finger, it sticks onto the paper. You can see if I just tap, get rid of the excess, there you go, you can see. And I like the way that it's making kind of a fade, so hopefully when I get the rest of my colours it will fade into each other. About drawing rainbows, especially in this kind of setting, I'm terrible at getting the curve on a normal rainbow to look the same on each side. So this time I've actually got, I thought it was perfect when I drew it, I've actually still got that curve not identical on either side, but every rainbow is unique, so I feel like it's fine. Every time you draw a rainbow it's different, so who needs perfection when you do it? So I'm also a bit of a stickler for getting the colours in the right order. So the way that I remember, and the way that I teach my class to remember, is the good old rhyme, Richard of York gave battle in vain, which is actually, if I get them all laid out for you, so we got Richard of York gave, oh, it's gone back in the box now, battle in, I didn't have the right colour for the last one, so vain. Red, orange, yellow, green, blue, indigo, violet. Richard of York gave battle in vain. And that is just my way of remembering, well, my way and lots of people's ways of remembering how the rainbow goes. So I've done my red. Next up is the orange. What I'm going to do is I'm not going to scrub really hard next to my red. I'm going to leave a little bit of a gap, because when I smudge it, I want it to be quite a soft effect going between them. So as you can see, that looks quite good. It's got like a slow, gradual effect into the orange. So it wasn't the Romans themselves that actually invented mosaics. Like a lot of Roman inventions, they were influenced by other people. Specifically, the mosaic was actually a Greek invention. The Greeks were using it a lot longer than the Romans ever did. And we can still see some pictures of Greek mosaics. You can actually Google them and you can get some really beautiful Greek mosaics. Most of the Roman mosaics were influenced by the myths. There is one famous Roman mosaic called the Alexander Mosaic, which actually has Alexander the Great in it, which is a really cool one. So I've moved on to the yellow, and I'm doing exactly the same thing. I am just colouring in the part just before the orange, and then I'm smudging it. If you don't have chalk, that's fine, but obviously you can't actually blend pencil or anything like that, so you will have to colour all the way up to the line if you don't have chalk. And then that is the yellow done. Now to move on to green. So that's my rainbow done. So now I'm just going to finish off with my lettering at the bottom. I've done as close to mosaic style writing as I think they would probably have done, although obviously it wouldn't have been in English or in block capital letters, or, well, it's as close to English mosaic as I think I can get. So I'm just going to do random colours here. I might do the colours of the rainbow, I might not, we'll see, although I think I probably will start with red. So the thing I really love about mosaics is it doesn't really matter how well you can draw, although that does help. You have to have an idea of what you're creating in your head, but it's very much about how skilled you are with imagining something once it's done. Because if you think they had to create a mosaic for an entire room, it had to cover the entire floor. So to have a mosaic like that, if you lay one piece wrong, it ruins the picture. So they had to be really careful and really imaginative, so that when they laid the tiles down, it was perfect. They might have drawn it out beforehand. I think probably the people who had done it before drew it out beforehand. But it would have been quite impressive to watch them doing it, because you would have been just seeing lots of little pieces of tile cut up and stuck down, and it's not until it's all done that you finally see the picture. Just like my mosaic. And so there we have it. My very own mosaic. Now, this isn't exactly like the Romans would have done it. In fact, it's completely a different style, but it still has that kind of boxed effect of tiles, and it still resembles an important story. I am going to put up on Facebook, along with this video, links so that you can see some of the famous villas still left standing and their mosaics that are underneath them. They are absolutely beautiful, and I would love to see the beautiful creations that you make. So if you make a mosaic, it can be for absolutely anything. It could be a thank you to the NHS, it can be a picture that represents what you did last Thursday. Maybe you went on an amazing walk, or maybe you had a fantastic little picnic in your garden, or anything at all. I'd love to see them. So have an amazing day today, and I hope you have lots of fun.